Hello everyone, welcome to this How to Play faction focus on the Blood Angels, the Sons of Sanguinius. I'm Aaron, and I'm joined today by Jordan. How are you doing, Jordan? You right, mate?
Yeah, all good, man. All good. I'm excited to talk about my favourite faction ever in the history of my life.
Ever. Wow, that's big. That's big.
Yes, it is. That's how much love I've got for these guys.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's a lot of love. So looking forward to finding out a little bit about what they do. A little bit emotional, I think, aren't they?
Oh, why did you have to remind me?
Yeah, so before we start, guys.
I'm not laughing at my dad, but
yeah.
Anyway,
let's not mention Sanguinius, guys.
Oh, why did you mention him? Oh God.
Oh, we're gonna have to cut there and just let you recoup, I think.
Oh, well, sorry, I'm just getting a bunch of horrors. I'm joking. Anyway,
right, guys. Before we get started, I just want to say a massive thank you to Games Workshop for giving us access to these index cards to give you this this review. So, right, so yeah, Jordan, can you tell me a little bit about Blood Angels, who they are, what they are?
Yeah, so the Blood Angels are a chapter of Space Marines. Basically, these guys love to get into combat. It's all about getting into combat fast, shock assaults, hitting hard. It's so cool. I love Blood Angels. And basically, they have a few flaws. So basically, they have this like need to drink blood.
A need
to drink blood. Like it's like this thirst, the red thirst. It's called.
Okay. Yeah.
They also have another curse, which is like a psychic backlash from their father, Sanguinius, dying.
Don't cry.
I'm holding tears back. But basically, it drives them crazy. They then start replaying the last moments of Sanguinius's life. And yeah, they start, everything is Horus. That camera, Horus.
Okay.
Horus.
Yeah, nice.
Horus everywhere. So yeah, they just basically think they are on the vengeful spirit, fighting Horus, fighting down their brother.
That last moment.
Wow. So yeah, it's a tragic tale.
That's some pretty bad emotional damage right there.
Yeah.
Okay.
I need therapy.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. And then so they're the ones. These ones are the ones that are like.
Yeah, that's Death Company. We'll come on to them. There's so many cool stuff with this index.
Yeah, I love it.
But yeah, should we go into
Army rules?
Army rule? Awesome. So because they're Space Marines, we get Oaths of Moment.
Okay,
so,
cool.
Really amazing rule. So get to basically pick one unit in your opponent's army. Now that doesn't have to be on the board. Just wanted to clarify. So it's just in your opponent's army. And you can re-roll all hit rolls and wound rolls.
Yeah, I mean, that's huge, right?
Yeah.
We're already familiar with this because all over Space Marines get the same same army rule. I fell victim to it last night in a game. Yeah,
it's amazing.
It can be pretty crushing. So
yeah, definitely.
Yeah, love it.
Yeah, it's honestly it's fantastic. I think it just helps you in them clutch moments, but you have to pick your target wisely.
Yeah,
that's the thing. So you're only getting against one unit with Blood Angels. We're not Ultramarines or Death Watch, where we can have the option to maybe do it on a second one.
Yeah,
you've only got that one option, so you need to kind of pick it right.
And am I right in thinking we'll get onto the detachment rules in a minute? But like no more really +1 to wound necessarily.
No. So there are ways. Okay, cool. So we can go through that. But yeah, detachment wise, we do have 2 detachments.
Okay.
So we can use the Gladius Task Force from the Space Marine Index, or we can use the Sons of Sanguinius detachment.
That's the one you're using, right? So
we'll come to that. Okay. I think that there's an argument to be said to use this.
Yeah.
But yeah, let me discuss
this. I'm getting excited about it.
And then let's run through this. So they get the red thirst.
Okay, yeah, so that makes sense.
It's such a cool thematic rule. Basically, on the charge, you get +1 attack and strength.
Cool. Yeah.
Increases your damage output. It obviously it helps on chainswords. It just gives you that increased damage output in combat, which is obviously where you want to be. Yeah. It's nice. I think that's the best part of the detachment is the actual rule for it.
Cool. Nice.
So yeah, decent detachment.
Yeah, good.
It's in terms obviously I'm not going to run through Gladius, but this one just is more primarily focused on the combat element of the army. If you are running this, then you want to focus purely on assault units.
Okay, yeah, and I mean, it looks like we've got quite a few assault units here that we might go through in a minute.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, before we had, like I said, the +1 to wounds. Now you've got +1 strength and attacks.
Yeah.
And I think that's still, when you pair that with Oath of Moments, you're really like
100%.
Building into
100%.
that.
It said it increases the damage output of your units.
Yeah.
I mean, you're putting that onto Death Company. You can make Power Fists, Thunder Hammer, Strength 9.
Yeah.
And an extra attack each. You can give them 4 attacks each.
Yeah. So is that a good crunch point on the? Because I think that's important. Is there's like this new sliding scale of like strength versus toughness.
Yeah.
And, I mean, so what are you generally when you get that plus strength? Pushing it to, and does it make much of a difference?
I think the +1 strength. So obviously that means I'm pretty sure Rhinos are toughness 9. Raiders and stuff toughness 9. So you're then wounding them things on 4s.
Yeah.
But the main thing that it's doing is, I mean, chainswords makes them strength 5. So now Marines, you're wounded. You effectively getting +1 to wound.
Yeah,
on that
yeah.
unit.
I think that's important to note. Is when it looks like you're maybe not getting the same benefit as you did before. In many cases, for maybe what their role is to try and kill in this edition.
Yeah.
They're still getting effective +1.
I mean, +1 to wound would be nicer, but because you're guaranteed that extra punch. But as I said, there are ways to get that, so we can run through that. But yeah, the +1 strength, there are some combos that come with that as well, which is quite nice. But yeah, it does increase the output on certain situations in combat.
Love it.
Yeah,
cool.
Awesome.
But before we continue, I'd like to give a quick shout out to our sponsor, The Outpost. If you're looking for great deals on your miniatures, paints and gaming supplies, we've got you covered. Their wide variety of exceptional service makes them the go-to destination for all hobby needs. So don't wait, check out The Outpost today. Link in the description below.
Right, nice one. So all that sounds awesome. Can you tell me a little bit about the enhancements?
Yes, so we've got 4 enhancements for the Blood Angels detachment. I'm not going to lie, a little bit underwhelmed with some of them.
Okay.
But we'll just go to the first one, Artisan of War.
Yep.
I think this one's probably the nicest. I'm not too sure. There's some that they work in particular situations, right?
Right, okay.
So this one gives you +1 AP and an armor save characteristic of 2+ on a character.
And so that's on a character.
On a character.
+1 AP and an armor save of 2+.
Yeah.
Okay, so
it's basically, so if in the Gladius task force, you get Artificer armor, which gives you a 2+ save and a 5+ feel no pain. So this one gives you the 2-up save, but an extra AP.
Yeah,
and AP is amazing. I mean, I think obviously with AP going down in the edition, actually being able to give yourself an extra AP, but it's only on a character. It's not going on a unit, obviously, because it's enhancements. So it's kind of I would much rather Artificer armor.
I think there maybe is one of those ones that you need to delve into the data cards a little bit more.
Yeah.
And maybe find a character that's got a specific role that might want that.
Yeah.
Maybe you've got a character that is very good at hunting down Marines or something like that.
Well, I think when you, obviously we'll come to, I know I keep saying this, but like Sang Priests give you an extra AP, right?
Okay.
So if you combine that onto a Thunder Hammer, you can make a Thunder Hammer AP4.
Right, okay,
So
yeah, decent.
It does have its merits.
Yeah.
But I would say this one's more if you have spare points.
Right, okay.
I think that's what we're saying with that one.
Nice.
The next one, Archangel Shard.
Shard.
So this one basically on Adeptus Astartes model gives you anti-chaos 5+ and lance.
On a Astartes model, anti-chaos 5+.
Yes.
And
Lance. So lance is +1 to wound on the charge.
So the lance combined with anti-chaos, that in itself doesn't really work together or interact together.
Yeah.
But it's a little bit of a dual. It's a good one to choose for others.
Well, if you had a Thunder Hammer, which has devastating wounds, that combines with the anti-chaos, but it's niche. You are only going to get that against one particular set of factions.
Yeah.
You may play in the tournament and not play chaos at all. So then you've literally just got lance on the character, which again, it's all right, but it's just on the character.
Yeah, I mean, I think it just depends on the data sheets of the characters, really.
Exactly. Again, it could come in handy. I don't think it's too great, but yeah.
Yeah.
Lance is always nice.
Lance is good, and I think that underestimating the ability of a character to do damage after all the other stuff is done. So
100%.
when you've got things like chainswords, I think we'll come to the chainswords in a minute because I think there's some cool stuff that you can do with that. But I found with other armies that sometimes the character does more damage against certain units than other stuff. So you add in that duality to a unit.
Yeah.
And adding Lance to it, especially like you say, maybe with a Thunderhammer, like, I don't know.
Well, so
it could be great.
The reason why I'm a bit hesitant on it is because there's ways of getting Lance anyway on the whole unit.
Okay, cool.
So you're spending points on this enhancement when you can use a strat to do it anyway. Okay. It's nice. I'm not saying it's terrible.
No,
it's not. I wouldn't include it myself.
Yeah.
Which is where I'm going with it.
Fair enough. Yeah.
Third one, Visage of Death.
Yep.
This one's, I think, maybe one of the better ones, but it's basically Adeptus Astartes model. While an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles, is within engagement range, you can half the OC characteristic.
When do you do it? Sorry.
So while an enemy unit is within engagement range of the bearer's unit, half the OC control of models in that unit.
Okay, so that I think that can be quite clutch because that can be done presumably in your own command phase at any point.
Well, it's a constant ability.
Oh, it's a constant ability.
It's a constant ability. It's just when you are within engagement range of his unit. So if let's say the chaplain, you've give it to the chaplain and he's with this Death Company unit, they charge into it, and the Death Company guy just touches the enemy unit. His unit is now in engagement range, so that unit then halves their OC.
Yeah. Okay. So you could be doing stuff that's like forcing your opponent to fall back, maybe if you want to hold an objective. I think that could come in handy. I think objective play from the games that I've played so far, it's not often that you're failing to score both of the sets of points. There might be 4 objectives and you only need to hold 1 or 2. So
it depends on what unit it's with, I think, though. Because if it's with Death Company, they're only OC1 anyway. Yeah. So if I'm right in saying you can't reduce the OC to a half, because it would just have to round back up to the 1, if I'm right in saying.
Does it say half their OC?
It just says half the OC characteristic.
So generally, you're rounding up.
Yeah, so it'll just stay at 1. So you're not going to be able to take... We'll have to double check it, and obviously I'll put it in the comments with what we find. But from what I gather is you can't reduce it to 0. So it's only really on stuff that have got OC2 or higher. I mean, on a knight, it's pretty. Oh no, it doesn't work against vehicles. So actually, if it had done that, it would have been a lot more useful. Good. But I think, on the whole, infantry at OC2 at most, maybe pushing to 3 if they have specific upgrades. So it can come in clutch, but
it's going to be points dependent. I think it seems like quite a lot of these are points dependent.
If you've got spare points,
then we might throw it on.
Exactly.
I think something like that is going to come into play when you have a lot more game experience of 10th, and you know the situations that you would use that.
Exactly.
So I'm always thinking, when I'm thinking about this sort of thing, when I'm playing lots of games, getting that experience in, I always come back to, would that have been useful for me?
Exactly.
Exactly. And
it's
if
about
that
repetition.
happens quite often, then start to think about putting it in your list.
Exactly. I think it's nice because reducing OC is obviously great. Yeah. But it's one of those things that's niche because we'll check the rule anyway. We will double check it and I'll put it in the comments and go from there. But the last one anyway, Icon of the Angel. So this one's actually pretty interesting. Okay. So it's on an Adeptus Astartes model. Each time an enemy unit, excluding monsters and vehicles again, within engagement range of the bearer's unit is selected to fall back, then models in the enemy unit must take desperate escape tests as if their unit was battle shocked. When doing so, if that enemy is also battle shocked, subtract 1 from the test. So basically, you're in combat with an enemy unit. If they want to fall back, they have to take desperate escape. So on 1s or 2s, they lose a model. Okay. Right? But if the unit that they are trying to flee is battle shocked, then they do it on 1, 2s, and 3s, a model dies. Okay. But it's only on infantry. Well, anything that is a monster and vehicle. So that could be cavalry as well. But
I quite like that. I think that you basically give your opponent a very hard choice. If they fall back and don't stay in combat with you, or they stay in combat with you and die.
Well,
So-
you want to remain in combat with the Blood Angels, right?
Yeah.
Because we have strats to fall back and charge. I mean,
Yeah.
obviously we'll come to the strats. There's a lot of ways of trying to tag in combat.
Yeah.
Pull back, get back in to get the bonus of the army. So having this means that you have the ability to tag a unit and force your opponent to make the decision of, do I then fall back and risk losing models?
Yeah.
Or do I stay in the unit and then that unit cannot then be shot?
Yeah.
So it gives you that defense on the unit. Maybe put it on a captain or something like that. That's what I did. I have run this before. It didn't really come into effect, but it does have that maybe that clutch element.
Yeah.
Overall, enhancements they do have places, but it's niche. I think all 4 of them are pretty niche enhancements. On the hot, I think maybe I don't even know which one would be my favourite. I think if anything, I was going to put at spare points. I put Artisan of War on.
Yeah.
Just to give a character a bit more punch.
Bit more punch. Yeah, I think I'd probably say the same.
Yeah.
I think that characters just have that capability to do more damage against certain units.
Yeah.
And if you start chucking Lance about as well.
Yeah, well, don't forget there's the heroic epic challenge strat, the core one, which means you can then get precision. So when your character's then doing extra like damage output, he can then take out your opponent's characters.
Yeah, I mean that in itself is
exactly it's massive. So yeah, I genuinely think that Artisan of War is probably the best, but on the whole they're just a bit niche. Yeah, I'll come to obviously comparing them with the Gladius Task Force.
Yeah,
I think
cool. We'll do that later.
I think there's a bit of a debate on that one.
Yeah, nice. Okay.
But yeah, that's the enhancements, mate.
Wicked. All right. Well, George, do you want to tell me about some of the stratagems then? Let's go into that.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Colourforge, our fantastic sponsor. Their range of spray paints has become our go-to for making our miniatures come to life quickly and efficiently. The quality and variety of colours they offer are truly unmatched, providing a smooth application for stunning effects every time. Check out Colourforge for your next hobby project.
Right, so George, we've seen the enhancements. Let's have a look at those stratagems then.
Yeah, so we've got 6 stratagems, same as everyone else. So the first one I'll talk about is only in death does duty end. We've seen this again in the Gladius Task Force, 2 CP, and effectively fight on death.
Cool.
So basically, you pick it in the fight phase after an enemy has selected its targets. So you can't play it once your unit starts dying. You do it before. Once your opponent goes, I'm going to use this unit to attack this unit. That's when you play the strat.
Okay.
It's 2 CP, and basically when a model dies, it gets to make its attacks before it's removed from play.
Great. Okay. Like you say, we've seen this quite a lot.
Yeah.
I think that is a very good stratagem amongst most armies, and especially in a combat army, combat-focused army, where you've got 2 combats that go in. Your opponent has got interrupt.
Yep.
You want to make both of those combats work and do the damage, do the trade.
Exactly.
So you fight with the first one, interrupt, fight on death for the second one.
Yep. Well, I think the way that I would look at it in the Blood Angels list is you want to dictate where the combats are. So you want to do the charging. You want to be getting your bonuses, right? Yep. Let's say you come against another combat army, World Eaters. They charge you. You don't get your benefits.
Yes.
So you probably will lose a few models. So it's beneficial in that situation as well, because you're then getting to react to your opponent, even though you're not getting your army bonus.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's a very reactive stratagem, which is good. It's a good stratagem. So the next
2 CP.
It's the most expensive one.
Yeah. But cool.
But you could use it on a captain for free.
Yeah, that's cool. There are those abilities floating around.
Exactly.
Sounds like we've got one, so we'll talk about that later. But cool. Second one.
Second one is Relentless Assault. So basically, this one you're going to be using quite a bit. It gives you fallback and charge.
Yeah, awesome.
Which is what I was saying earlier. Is it gives you being able to fall back and charge, then gives you the detachment rule, because you're only getting your detachment rule on a charge.
Yeah.
So being able to just get out, go back in, and get your maximum damage efficiency is great for 1 CP. You're going to be using it quite a bit.
Yeah, that's awesome. And not only do you get the detachment ability, you get fight first again because you're charging.
Exactly.
So brilliant. Yeah, great strat. And that's just the 1 CP.
That's 1 CP. So yeah, something that you're going to be doing quite a bit. The only downside to it is you don't get to shoot. So whereas like if you're in the Tactical Doctrine, in the Gladius Task Force, you can fall back, shoot, and charge.
Right. Okay.
So that's the difference with them both. It's a little. So let's say like you add Inferno pistols.
I was going to say those like
You fall back and literally just go an inch out, and you can literally shoot all your Inferno pistols, and then charge back in. So where that's the negative to it. I get in fact pistols they can shoot in combat anyway. So I don't know why you'd fall back.
yeah.
But there is certain things that you might want to shoot.
Okay, cool, nice.
But yeah, it's still good. Still
An
very good
absolute staple of a strat. Let's be honest.
Exactly.
Cool. Third one.
Third one, Angels Sacrifice. I really like this one.
Okay.
So 1 CP, I've actually used it quite a bit.
Yeah.
So 1 CP, you use it in any phase when one of your characters has just been destroyed. Basically, until the end of the battle, each time a friendly Adeptus Astartes unit makes an attack that targets the enemy unit that just destroyed your character, you get to reroll hits against it.
Ooh, okay.
So
Yeah.
someone kills, let's say, the chaplain. Someone kills your chaplain. Cool, he's dead.
Yep.
Pay that strat. Now my whole army gets to reroll hits against the unit that killed him.
The whole army. And how long does that last for?
The rest of the game.
Rest of the game?
Yeah, until the end of the battle.
Wow, okay. So I mean, there's a lot going on in my head in terms of how you can use that. And I'm immediately thinking like a massive target, like a knight or a big block. There's these like 500 point units. May even be tempted to just
comes in clutch.
Sacrifice a character for that.
That's what I'm saying. Like if they kill one of your characters, you can just go, cool, well, I'm just going to reroll hits against you now, and I can have oath somewhere else and reroll half my output onto one other unit. It's really, really good. I think, again, you're using this quite a lot. Because I think in 10th edition, you take quite a few characters now, right?
Yes.
And I think Blood Angels specifically, because we have a lot of good characters. And I think, this stratagem will come up quite a bit.
Awesome. Wicked.
So the fourth one, Aggressive Onslaught. So
that sounds very Blood Angel.
It is very Blood Angel. I've used it a few times and it has come in clutch. So this one's 1 CP in the fight phase. Basically, just before you consolidate until the end of the phase, you can move up to 6 inches instead of 3. But you must end that consolidation move within engagement range of one or more enemy unit.
Great. Okay.
So this is what I was saying earlier about tagging units, right? So what you've done is you've just killed this little unit. Cool. Now the weakness is being left out in the open because now someone can shoot you, right? If someone else has got another unit that's lined up, but they're not within 3, you can just go, cool, I'm now just going to get that 6 inch, move up to you, and I've now got stuck into combat again.
Yeah.
Maybe you could combine that with that enhancement where you're making people take desperate escape.
You literally stole the words right out of my mouth. I'm seeing this all start to click together a little bit.
Exactly.
Especially if that's quite maybe like a valuable shooting unit or something like that. I'm just throwing Desolation Marines out there.
There we go. We're on the same wavelength.
Right. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, it's a really it's niche because obviously you're not always going to have that option, right? But it gives you the option if you need it. And I think Blood Angels is a staging army, so you want to be building, moving into terrain, charging out of terrain, and then being able to tag another unit. I mean, the downside, you don't want to be tagging a unit that's a combat unit potentially because they will get to fight you. So they will then get attacks onto you. So it kind of, you've got to weigh up the unit that you're tagging. But against shooting units, vehicles, indirect, maybe something like Exorcist with the sisters, stuff like that, it comes in handy because then you're making them have -1 to hit.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, vehicles is a tough one for me because I'm so used to just piling in and tagging vehicles for days trying to stop them shooting.
Yeah.
Now they can obviously shoot out of combat and stuff like that now, so it's not quite as valuable. So I think targeting units that are maybe shooty and are like infantry units and stuff like that. Understanding your opponent's ability to fall back and shoot and stuff like that is going to be key.
Don't forget though, if you are tagging a vehicle, they will get -1 to hit for being shooting out of combat.
Out of combat as well. Okay.
So you are forcing your opponent then to have -1 to hit.
Yeah.
And obviously blast weapons can't be shot into that unless it's a vindicator. But but it really does help with those sort of situations. And again, it just gives you that ability to hold your opponent in combat.
Yeah. Basically,
you're grabbing your prey, you stay in there, jump out, smash back in again. that's the way the army's going to be working, I think.
Yeah,
if you're taking this.
I'm getting the impression that these guys are going to, they feel a little bit finesse. You're going to need to really understand your rules, your opponent's rules, all the universal rules really well, just to make sure you're getting the most out of this ability to tag and fall back and stop people from, or do damage to people.
Exactly that.
Cool, right, so let's have a listen about the fifth one.
So the fifth one is Armor of Contempt. Okay. You're going to be using this all the time. Yeah. Armor of Contempt is literally a staple of Space Marine armies now. It's so clutch. Yeah. Being able to -1 AP to your opponent's attacks. Bear in mind though, this is only used in your opponent's shooting phase or fight phase, right?
Yeah.
So Overwatch doesn't count. You can't use it in situations that are outside of those phases. Yeah. So yeah, just bear that in mind when you're using it. But it is clutch.
It's brilliant.
It saves so many units, and we can make Blood Angel units very durable. Yeah. So when you combine this with certain things,
I love this, especially in an edition where AP is being toned back. Yep. Like reduce it, especially things like Sanguinary Guard. I don't know, the 2-up save, I guess.
2-up save, yeah. It's great on 2-up save units, even on your 3-up saves, because it just helps. Yeah, it really does help. So yeah, I think that's great.
Awesome.
The last one though, mate, Red Rampage.
Great.
So this one's good. Again, one that I would use quite often. So basically, use it in the fight phase, and it gives you Lance, and it gives you lethal hits.
Lance and lethal hits. So we're getting our Blood Angels back with the Lance, +1 to wound, and lethal hits as well. Now those two don't necessarily interact with each other, but we're getting lethal hits anyway, so it's going straight through.
So the thing is, right, so Lance obviously is only on the charge, so you're going to get +1 to wound on charge, right? Yeah. That obviously coincides with the army rule, with the extra attack and strength, but the lethal hits, you will be getting that, because I believe it's not just if you've charged. No, so you don't have to have charged to get it. So you could just put lethal hits on a unit. So if you needed to, you could just go, cool, I'm just going to give myself lethal hits.
That's great, especially let's just say you throw an Oath of Moments on something, you're in combat, I don't know, let's say you've got some Assault Marines. Yeah. I mean, there's a bucket load of attacks coming out of that. Oh,
100%, especially in the Sons of Sanguinius with the extra attack. Yeah. Chainsaws become 5 attacks each. Right. Wow. So... yeah, it gets really naughty, especially with some of the combos. Yeah, it's great. The army really does rely on basically banking on you getting charges. So having some of the stratagems be able to allow you to get out of combat and go back into it to regain your benefits, it really does help the interaction with the army, and I think that's how you're looking to play them.
Cracking, love it, absolutely. Brilliant. So let's move on to some data sheets.
Let's do it, mate.
With the release of Warhammer 40,000 10th edition, at Vanguard Tactics, we've put together the perfect course for you. If you're already playing 9th edition, but you want to seamlessly transition into the new edition, leave behind everything you know about 9th and understand everything you need to know about 10th, then this short course is going to be ideal. We break down all the complexities and give you step-by-step guidance on how to really make the most from 10th edition. We're going to help you understand all the basics of the game, and then some top tips along the way to help you really get the most from your army and your playing experience. And if that's something you want to do and get signed up on our short course, which you can study in your own time, then do check out the links below and get signed up to our accelerator program.
Awesome, right. So let's hear about the first one, mate.
Okay, right. So I'm so excited to talk about this. So this guy, he is the baller. Right. He is my favourite character ever. Ever. Right. Commander Dante, Lord Regent of Imperial Nihilus. Yeah. Put some respect on his name. Okay. He is coming into this edition with a beautiful new model.
It does look awesome.
Absolutely
it does look
gorgeous.
Awesome. He is covering his face. Is he covering his face? He is a little bit old, isn't he?
All right, you don't have to shout him out like that. Jeez. Old shame him.
Respected.
He has wisdom. He has experience. Yeah. And he is now Primaris. Yeah. So he's tougher. He's stronger. Yeah. And he's back with a vengeance. He is so cool. I wouldn't say he's an auto-include. Okay. For me, he is, because I love the character. If we're going off a unbiased opinion and looking at his data sheet, he has play, which is what I like about him.
I think this is really important as well, is play with the units that you want to play with.
Exactly.
Right.
He's my non-negotiable. In every army, I don't care if he was the worst character in the index, I would put Dante in.
Brilliant.
So,
Love it.
yeah, so
What's he
Dante
do?
himself, so he's got 6 wounds, 2 up save, T4, 12-inch move, OC1, leadership 6. So he has the Perdition pistol.
Perdition pistol.
It's his Inferno pistol thing.
Oh, it's a special Inferno
It's a
pistol.
special Inferno pistol. It's a Melter 2 pistol, sustained hits D3.
Oh, okay.
6-inch range, 1 attack, hitting on 2, strength 8, AP4, D6 damage.
Nice.
It's niche, but when you get that sustained hits D3, shout out Seb. So
Oh, Seb's little glower at him.
yeah, this guy overwatched the Vizark, and then he sniped him. Just went bang.
So you got your Overwatch, you hit on a 6, you get
He
your
gets a
sustained
sustained D3, and he gets 4 melter shots from his Overwatch. It's so funny when it happens. But yeah, it's great. It's just a little melter pistol, but once that sustain goes off, it's awesome.
Bang.
And then he's got the Axe Mortalis. This thing, it's got lethal hits, 8 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 7, AP3, damage 2.
Oh, okay.
So bear that in mind. I want you to remember that, okay? So
Try. It's already gone.
just remember, we're in the Sons of Sanguinius, right?
Okay.
We're not looking at Gladius right now.
Okay. Yeah.
So he becomes 9 attacks, strength 8, AP3, damage 2.
Yeah, that's nice. Yeah.
There's more to come with that, don't worry.
Okay.
So he also has, so when he joins a unit or leads a unit, he gives them +1 to charge and +1 to hit. So it's pretty tasty.
Yeah, that's his. So that's his like ability.
That's his
built
ability
into
for
the-
leading the unit.
Yeah, that's awesome. +1 to hit.
It's nice. I do not take that for granted. It really does help.
Yeah, I'm amazing at failing really short charges. So
Yeah.
I like
Same.
that.
Yeah. Actually, I think 10th edition, I've actually improved my ratio for getting deep strike charges.
Love it.
So it's great.
Cool.
But yes, and the other thing, which I think is very underestimated, this guy, he has an ability at the start of the fight phase. Each enemy unit within 6 must take a battle shock test at -1.
At -1 as well.
Yes.
Right. So that's really good because you're getting rid of things like fight first stratagems potentially.
There's
all sorts.
so much. So armies that resurrect characters when they die,
Yeah.
fight on death. You are now nullifying these rules. The amount of times he has stopped sisters' characters for me, just getting back up after you've killed them and just guaranteeing that character's dead.
Like you say, I think that's really underestimated.
It comes in clutch so much because -1 on leadership is massive, right?
Yeah.
I think Battle Shock, I was guilty of saying I don't think Battle Shock's going to come into it much. In my games, Dante's Battle Shock has come in clutch in pretty much every single game.
Yeah.
I mean, stopping a knight from fighting on death,
Yeah.
or doing things like that, it really.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking about playing into things like Custodes. We know that they've got this fight first stratagem, and
Yep.
that when you're playing with this army,
Yep.
is really going to ruin you.
Yep.
And their leadership, like 6 or 5, getting a 7+ on 2 dice is not.
It's not easy.
It's not easy, exactly.
Yeah.
And if you've got that ability to break that cycle of fight first on that, that's
There
a
is-
way to play around.
There is a really niche thing that could happen, but if someone charges his unit, then fails their battle shock, they then remain battle shock for your entire turn. Because remember, you don't unbattle shock until the start of your battle shock step in the command phase. So he could effectively mean that a unit is battle shocked if they charge you for a whole turn.
Okay.
So that has happened a few times for me.
So take this back a little bit. Try to explain that a little bit slower from my
Okay.
mind.
Yeah, sure. So basically, if you get charged,
Yeah.
right, his ability triggers, your opponent fails their leadership check,
Yeah.
so they are battle shocked.
Yeah.
It then goes, because obviously they charged in their turn, right? You then have a whole turn of your turn where that opponent is battle shocked, so they cannot use strats for a whole turn on that unit.
Yeah. I was thinking of it more offensively in your turn, but you're talking about it
Defensively and
Defensively.
offensively.
Yeah, that's really
It's niche, but it's something I wanted to point out because it's happened a few times for me now.
Yeah.
And don't forget that also reduces their OC to 0.
Yeah.
So then in your command phase, if you're on an objective, you've swung that objective.
Yeah, no, that's really cool. I think that's one of these really small niche things, and there's a lot of these things in 10th edition that you don't realise at face value.
Exactly. Once you've had experience and repetition of playing it, and I've played Dante every single game, that rule has come up a few times, and it does help. It swings battles as well. I mean, the guy himself is an absolute baller, right? But being able to just battle shock people out of phase is such a great rule.
I like that a lot.
Yeah?
Yeah, Dante, you've got my respect, sir.
Good. Should have added respect
Is
anyway,
sir
mate.
good enough?
But sir is not good enough. It's Lord to you.
Lord, okay.
There we go.
Right, what's the next one?
Right, so this is going to be a combo. So Sanguinary Priest with a jump pack.
Okay.
Right? So these guys are the staple of the army, I think. They're 110 points.
Yep.
Pretty expensive. However, they give the unit that they are leading an extra AP and a 5-up feel no pain.
Wow. Yeah.
So these also have the rule where they can be attached to the same unit as a captain. Dante also counts towards that.
Okay.
So Dante can go in the same unit as a Sanguinary Priest, same as a captain could go to the same unit as a Sanguinary Priest. So remember I told you to remember Dante's profile? We can now make Dante AP4.
That's just going to chop all your own guys down, right?
No.
No, he's not Khan.
Come on, man. We're the other Red Army, okay? God.
Okay. So he's gonna slice through stuff.
Yeah. It's great because the fact giving your units 5-up feel no pain, you are making your units so tanky.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like this is so cool. Like, genuinely, I'm running. Let me talk about the other combo. Let me talk.
Yeah, let's carry on with the combo.
So these guys, I think, work best with Assault Marines. Assault Marines are a standout. And they are in the Space Marine Index, so they're not a Blood Angel specific. It's a Space Marine core unit. These guys, right, the mortal wound output on this unit is ridiculous. But basically, you put them with a Sang Priest and Dante, they can get hit on 2s with chainswords. They can become AP3. They get +1 strength on the charge as well because of the Blood Angel specific. So they can get 5 attacks on chainswords. You can make Eviscerators strength 8, AP4.
So they're doing a lot of work. Give me a small scenario on that. What's like?
So, I've run these in every game. Played against knights.
Okay, cool.
I've had one unit take out 2 knights.
No way.
Yep.
No way.
Yep.
Big knights.
So big knights. Basically, grenade strat.
Yeah.
Then you do the mortal. So on the charge, they have a rule. I think it's called Hammer of Wrath.
Okay.
Where basically, once they pick a unit that's within engagement range of their unit, and then you roll a dice for every model in the unit. So bear in mind, if you're going with a 10-man and you've got a Sang Priest and you've got Dante, it's 12 guys. Roll 12 dice. Every 4+ is a mortal wound.
Ooh.
So you have 18 dice effectively with grenade strat. Every 4+ is going to be a mortal wound.
So you got 9 mortal wounds out the gate, unless you roll hot.
Yeah, exactly, like me.
Like you might have done against Seb last night.
Yeah, weighted dice help.
Let's just say no weighted dice.
Here at Vanguard, no, joking.
No, absolutely not.
But yeah, so the mortal wound output is crazy, right? Then we've got a bunch of chainswords, potentially going to AP, they're AP2 in the Blood Angels specific detachment.
Yep.
If we take them in the Gladius force, granted, losing extra strength and attack. However, you can play one of their stratagems, which I think is called Honor the Chapter, which gives you +1 to wound on the charge, lance, and an extra AP in the Assault Doctrine.
Oh, yeah.
So we're making chainswords AP3. We're making Dante AP5.
You got a weight of attacks as well.
It's still getting 4 attacks each with that.
Yeah, I can see where you're going with it, definitely.
And I think this is what I'm saying is once you play Lance as well, for a moment, you pick one knight, you can mortal wound the hell out of it. You can probably finish it off with a couple of Eviscerators.
Yeah.
And then you're literally just going into another knight with 4 rerolls.
Yeah.
And Dante himself has got lethal hits.
Oh, that is very nice. Now, It does have to be said that as of recording this, we have obviously seen that sadly these guys will be going into Legends. At some point in the future, I'm not sure when. We don't know. But
it's when the Space Marine Codex drops, these guys will no longer be in the Codex.
Yep.
It's really sad. It's upset me.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. I think obviously it'll be another challenge for us to look at the index and or the Codex and be like, how do we play this force?
Yeah.
But as of the index, these are a spotlight unit.
Awesome unit. And this is what we're reviewing is the index right now. So
exactly. It's great. So that combo, mate, I'd take 2 units of them. Captain also could go in there. He gives you +1 strength from the charge.
Yes. Ooh.
So if you combine that with the Blood Angels one, you can get chainswords to strength 6.
Yeah.
Strength 6 chainswords.
That's a good break point as well. Things again, custodes, wounding.
Then wounded on 4s, then you can get lance to wounded on 3s. Still at AP2. It's really, really useful. I think this unit is so underestimated. More so for the mortal wound output.
Yeah.
The mortal wound output is key, but then they just finish off whatever's left. Yeah. And that's the important thing. Dante himself is he takes things on whatever he wants, he just does it, right?
Yes.
He's a baller. I'm going to keep saying that. Dante baller.
Baller. Yeah.
Right. But yeah, so that's the unit, mate. That's the first unit I wanted to look at.
Yeah, I think that's a really good combo.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. What's next, mate?
Right. My baby.
Your baby. Yeah.
My Bile Predator.
Go on, do a little. That's terrible. Oh, that's
you're.
I lost my voice as I was you're bad. Right, we won't do that sound effects.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, that's going in the bloopers, mate. Anyway, so the Bile Predator, right? This is a this is a spotlight dude.
Right,
okay, he's a spotlight unit. So
why is he a spotlight unit? Tell me.
So he's obviously got the statistics of a Predator. So 12-inch move, T10, 3-up save, 11 wounds, OC3. Right.
Cool.
We're not going to talk about the bolter version with the heavy bolts and assault cannon. It's not what we're here for.
Screw that up.
Then basically we give him the flamers.
Yeah.
So 2 heavy flamers.
Nice.
And the Bile Flamestorm cannon.
All right, what's that one do?
Right, we know what heavy flamers do.
It looks great.
It is absolutely awesome. So the Bile Flamestorm cannon is 18-inch.
Cool.
Torrent ignores cover. D6 +3. Strength 6, AP2, damage 2. So this guy is picking Marine squads up for fun.
That is incredible.
Yeah.
And especially when you start to pair that with Overwatch as well.
Yep. Because they're also hitting, because they've got Torrent.
Yeah.
But that's not all.
That's not all?
That's not all.
All right.
So this guy, he can re-roll advance rolls.
Okay, cool. Why is the tank advancing?
When he advances, all of his weapons become assault against infantry.
No way.
So this guy can move literally up to 18 inches and just go
just think of that thematically. I mean, I used to have one of these. I used to have Blood Angels when I was 15, 16, right? And I had
glory days.
Amazing days. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
I had one of these. I'm pretty sure I had a Bile.
They are so cool. I was wanting to run them in 9th edition. Sadly, they had no play in 9th edition because their weapons were heavy. Yeah. So you could never use their special rule, which is auto advance 6.
Yeah.
But now they really do. D6 +3 on that, and then 2d6 heavy flamer shots.
Cool. And you know what? This is the beauty of 10th edition for me, right? Because when you take all these abilities that were previously probably stratagems, niche things, you can't possibly cover all the data sheets with them, right?
Exactly.
So by doing this, putting the abilities on there, you can all of a sudden take a unit which just didn't really see much play and make it awesome.
Exactly. This guy, I use in my list all the time.
Yeah.
He might not be the most broken unit that's literally picking up units, but he is just so... I mean, I took him against knights a few times, right? And a lot of knights players are taking assassins. So this guy would strap reserve. This is it, mate. He's my assassin.
Assassin.
He would literally come on from strat reserve.
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, I'm within 12.
No way. And I guess people just don't
They don't
really consider that that's
No.
what you're going to do with it.
He's gone under the radar because he was never
Until
used.
now.
Until
like,
now.
You were just telling everyone about this.
We've got all these lights just looking at him.
Spotlight.
Spotlight. Yeah, he's so sick, dude. Like,
Yeah.
genuinely, the Bile Predator's awesome. I love him. He's so cool. But yeah, that's the Bile Predator.
Sweet. What are you
Let's
next?
talk about Death Company. Sorry, it's just painful.
Yeah.
I want them to go out in a bang.
These are those ones with the weird visions, right?
Not weird visions, man. It's visions of our dad. It's just sad visions, bro.
Sad visions. Okay.
Come on, man. God,
Okay,
get it right.
Okay.
So, Death Company Marines, but I'm going to talk about the ones with jump packs.
Okay.
So, I think the army works better with jump packs. You could go with the ones without, but these ones I think are better.
You're just going to get about that far, and then you're going to go.
Yeah, it's fine. I think these guys are just better.
Yeah.
Right. So, normal Marine stat line, but they get Feel No Pain 6+.
Cool. Nice.
Yep. And then they get to reroll charges because they've got the jump packs.
Awesome.
Then they've got Black Rage. So this gives them reroll hit rolls all the time. Just reroll shooting and melee.
Shooting and melee.
Yep.
Wicked. Yeah.
Then also, well, if they are not within 12 of a chaplain, they become OC 0 and they can't fall back.
Okay, so that's a negative to them.
That's the next. So that's the downside to them, obviously not having control. So that's but the chaplain is there to guide them.
Okay.
So if you have you need chaplains within 12 just to kind of
keep them on the straight and narrow, basically.
it does come in clutch. If you want to capture that objective, but there's no chaplain there, you can't take it because they're OC 0.
So fighting against them, I might chuck precision on that.
But that's the weakness to this unit is they then become kind of mindless. They just become a hitting unit then rather than a strategic unit.
Yeah, cool.
Which is thematic, makes sense. So there's two ways of really running Death Company, right? There's Thunderhammers or there's Power Fists.
Okay.
I think we're not really going to talk about chain swords or power swords or whatever because the main ways war gear is free.
Yeah.
So you wouldn't go for the others, you'd go for the heavy hitting stuff.
Yeah, great, yeah.
So Thunderhammers, they're hitting on 4s, strength 8, AP 2, damage 2. It's all right. 3 attacks each. Cool.
Yeah.
With devastating wounds.
With devastating wounds. Of course, Thunderhammers have got that now, haven't they?
Exactly.
Yeah, nice.
Personally, I prefer the Power Fists because you give them Power Fists and Inferno Pistols.
Okay.
So they get ranged weapons, whereas the Thunderhammers don't get ranged weapons.
Are the Thunderhammers like
They're
a
two-handed.
Two-handed one.
Two-handed weapons, whereas the Power Fist can come with a pistol.
Right. Cool.
So it gives you two modes, right? But the Power Fists have got the same stat line, but they hit on 3s and don't have devastating wounds.
Right. Okay.
So you're losing devastating wounds, but you're hitting on 3s, right? So the reason, obviously, if you're just taking a squad without a character, Thunderhammers are better.
Yeah.
If you're taking them with character, I think there's a really tasty combo, which we shall go through.
Let's do.
Let's do it. So, Lamartis.
Oh, what a lad.
This
Love
guy
Lamartis.
is an absolute... He's baller number 2, mate.
Can I just tell you before we go into that?
Go for
I
it.
once killed Lamartis with a grot in Gretchen in combat. Does that make you sad?
Anyway. Sorry, I've just got to... Okay, cool. Now we can carry on. Cool. So, Lamartis, he gives the unit lethal hits.
Great. Awesome.
So you got Power Fist with lethal hits. However, this is the big one. This is the whopper. -1 damage.
-1 damage. Okay, so we're getting a bit tougher.
When you combine Assault Marines with a 5-up Feel No Pain,
Yeah.
a Death Company unit with a 6-up Feel No Pain and -1 damage, you've suddenly got some really tanky units here, dude.
Yeah, that's really hard to kill. And I think that's really important as well for Space Marines because your Space Marine units are quite expensive, especially when you start adding the characters, right?
Chunky points.
You need them to trade up in points or you're going to lose the game. So by adding these things on there, -1 to wound, 5-up Feel No Pain, all of a sudden you are getting into a combat, you're killing that combat. You might be doing things that are piling shenanigans.
Yeah, sure.
I'm learning.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you're staying alive throughout the next turn.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's the way I would run these. I think it's viable to run them in multiple small units.
Yeah.
With Thunderhammers running around, maybe a couple of chaplains dotted around. But yeah, I just think Lamartis is a standout. He is quite chunky in points, 135 points.
Okay.
But then again, Sang Priests are 110. So I think you are paying the taxes for these, but you are also getting -1 damage.
Yeah.
And I think damage 2 weapons on these guys, Armor of Contempt, still got a 3-up save. Then they can also have a 6-up Feel No Pain.
Yeah.
Suddenly, 6-up, if you're taking damage 2 weapons to 1 damage with a 6-up Feel No Pain, you are reducing the output of that. When you are 2 wound models, it really, really helps in them situations. Think about it, Thunderhammers have gone down to 2 damage.
Exactly, and you've got. I'm not going to try and figure out the percentages, but like you say, Feel No Pains when you got those model damage things.
They really become a really durable unit, and you basically just leapfrog them into the opponent's lines, and because their whole purpose is to die.
Yeah.
Right. We want to send them out, blades of glory, bang, 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 boom, boom, boom. Right, and then they're going to go in screaming horrors. Right.
Yeah.
Mike Tyson it, bro. That's what they're doing.
We got one that's a bit of a Mike Tyson.
We have. We've got a few.
Let's have a little show.
There he is. That's Big Mike.
Big Mike, Iron Mike.
Iron Mike. There we go. Cool. Yeah. So that's the Death Company. They are out of the two, because the 2 main units of the Blood Angels is Sanguinary Guard and Death Company. Death Company is the standout. I think you do include Death Company in the Blood Angels.
Cool.
I'm running 1 unit of 10.
1 unit of 10 on those.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So they're really good. Briefly, let's just discuss Vanguard.
Yeah, I think it is definitely worth it because these guys were I'm taking 3 units of them in 9th edition. Where are they at now?
I refuse to do that.
You refuse to do that?
I refuse.
Okay.
For law reasons,
Right.
it doesn't make sense you taking 3 because there's not that many Vanguard in the chapter.
Got you.
So I did that thematically, probably not the smartest choice.
Yeah.
But
hey,
anyway,
you got to play the game how you want to play it. Right?
Exactly. But yeah, Vanguard. It's contentious point. I think unfortunately, they're very expensive, right? So we're talking about, I think it's around 460, 450 for 10 of them.
That's not including characters?
That's not including characters.
Okay, so that's a quarter of your.
They're about 43 points a model, right?
Okay, so you need them to be doing a lot of work. So what can they do for that 450 points?
So basically, they get you can have Inferno Pistol, Plasma Pistol, or Angelus Bolter. They're all pistol weapons. You probably give them Infernos or Plasmas.
Yeah.
Because the bolt gun now has gone down in AP, so it's no longer AP1.
Okay.
Then they have in Carmine Blades, so now the axes and swords have got 1 profile, not 2 separate ones.
Okay, yeah, I kind of like the simplicity of that, to be honest.
I'm not objected to that. That's absolutely fine. They got 4 attacks, hitting on 3s, strength 5, AP 2, damage 2. So for me, it's just a smidge better than Vanguard Vets. It's not really pulling its weight.
What's their abilities? What have they got going on there?
So their abilities, when melee attacks target in the unit, they -1 to hit. Same as last edition. But when they have the Warlord leading the army, and leading the unit, they get -1 to wound in combat as well.
Yeah.
Now it's worth noting only Dante can join them.
Okay, so like the Sanguinary Priest cannot join the Sanguinary Guard.
Yes. It's
a shame, but
it's a shame. The thing is, look, I think I've come to accept they're not as good as they should be.
Yeah.
I feel like they should be a lot better, but we have time. It's an index. It's a beginning. We've got other tools to play with, right?
That's just it. These guys, units and models, they go in cycles. I mean, we had an edition where the Battle Predator wasn't very good.
I couldn't use this thing the whole of last edition, really. In a competitive scenario, I could use it, but yeah.
So,
one thing to note, you can put the banner in there now as part of the unit rather than a separate character.
Okay, what does that do?
So he just gives you an extra OC, so you become OC2.
Okay.
And you're not paying for that, so you would always have that, right?
Yeah.
They're okay. I just think they're overcosted, which is the issue with them, right?
Yeah, and I also think that maybe our expectation of where they were before, incredibly good to the point where unless you're playing thematically, spamming 3 units of these and
suddenly 3 units is your whole army.
Yeah, we've got a new edition.
Yeah.
They've changed. We've seen a lot of that throughout the edition. Hopefully, maybe in the future they.
I hope they do. I hope they do. They are a staple of the army. They're just they're just golden angels, dude. Like, how sick is that? But I think maybe one thing that could maybe fix them is putting a Sang Priest in.
Okay.
because then it increases their survivability. That is the issue with them as well. They're not survivable. So they've got a 2-up save, fantastic, not denying that. When mortal wounds are so prevalent in 10th edition and there's no invulnerable save, it really does, the unit can be deleted quite easily. Tank shock, grenade strat, any other ways of doing mortal wounds, devastating wounds, just pick up the unit.
They're fighting for their place in an army, right?
Exactly.
They're really fighting for it. I think you could afford to have them maybe as a bit of a non-negotiable if you really if you wanted to play with this unit. I think they
can still have a place. But it's one of those things where it has to be a non-negotiable. I don't think in a competitive list they make it. But if you really love Vanguard, they still can do some damage to certain targets, right?
Pick your targets, maybe chucking the +1 to wound in.
They're picking up Marine squads.
Strength 5 base, so you go to strength 6.
With 5 attacks each when you're doing the in the Blood Angels.
Like they're running through certain targets.
Exactly.
And if you can play them in the right way, get the most out of that unit, play it correctly, doing your consolidates and things like that.
Exactly.
I think you can get out of it. They're maybe not winning GTs and things like that.
This is the thing. We're, as you said, we're expectation here, where they're at currently. But there's plenty of room to.
There's room for manoeuvre, and I think maybe a little bit overpointed. But still,
Vanguard is what it is.
Nice one. Anything else?
So we got the Libby Dread, Librarian Dread. So the Librarian Dreadnought, he gives basically every Adeptus Astartes unit within 6 a 5-up feel no pain against mortal wounds and psychic attacks.
Okay, cool. So like we were saying that these guys had that little weakness.
This will plug that weakness. The downside is he is half their movement. He's only movement 6, their movement 12. So if you want to keep him in that bubble, obviously it's not wholly within 6. It's just within, so you could just have one model touching it and give them. So you could string them back. But yeah, that's the only downside to it, but it does help fill that void, right?
Cool,
Then his main is creme de la creme.
Has he got his wings back?
He's got his little... So basically, once per turn, at the end of your movement phase, one psyker from your army with this ability can use it. You roll a dice. On a 1, you take D3 mortal wounds. On a 2, basically, you can select one friendly Adeptus Astartes infantry unit. And then that is within 12 of him. Then remove them from the battlefield, then set them up anywhere else on the battlefield that is more than 9 inches away from enemy units.
Brilliant. Okay, and that's immediately, right?
Immediately.
Okay, so there's quite a few other rules in the game that allows you to do that, but like in the following turn. So that's awesome for mission.
Turn 1.
Turn 1.
Turn 1.
Turn 1.
Get onto an objective.
Or even if you draw one of those cards that like behind enemy lines, or something like that, that is. Tough.
It's important. It's really, really important. And I think he has a really good place in the army. I think competitively he can be used quite well. One thing to note, so we was going to talk about Inceptors. I think Inceptors have a massive play in the army as well. They're great for mission play. They can deep strike outside of 3 of an enemy unit. So really good. However, this does not interact with this rule because you're not deep striking.
It's not the deep strike keyword.
Exactly. Their one only triggers from deep strike.
Got you. Okay.
So you could target them, but they're not going to go within outside of 3. Okay.
Okay. Cool.
But yeah, really nice. You can use that on any unit that's foot slogging, blade guards. You could put that onto a unit like assault intercessors, and we'll go who can lead assault intercessors. My second favorite character of the Blood Angels, Mephiston. The most OP wizard in all of the Imperium.
You were telling me about some of the crazy stuff that he does in war, right?
His stories, I've read his books now, and he is the most OP character. He literally is the embodiment of the rage of the Blood Angels.
So here's a question. If he is, who wins in a fight?
Oh, Mephiston kills Dante every time.
Every time?
Every time.
Oh, wow.
There's no question about it. Like, Dante would put up a good fight, but Mephiston literally would just click his fingers and like do some crazy.
Yeah, he's got like.
He can literally split his soul into 3 and literally like teleport to different areas and stuff. Like he's just so overpowered, but he is the only Blood Angel to ever recover from the Black Rage.
Brilliant. I think probably having some of Sanguinius is soul in
Some of his, yeah,
probably helping there.
he's a baller.
Yeah.
Baller number 3.
All right,
So
what's he do?
Mephiston, he's great, but there's a few downsides to him.
Okay.
So first of all, he's got 7-inch move, toughness 5, 2-up save, 6 wounds. Right?
Yeah.
Great stat line. He's got Vitarus, which is his sword, which is 6 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 9, AP 3, D3 damage.
D3. Okay.
D3 is the downside there. Maybe it should be 3, but I'm wishing.
Yeah.
Then also he's got his plasma, but he's also got a psychic attack called Fury of the Ancients, which is a sustained hits 1 psychic attack with 3 shots in 12, hitting on 2s, strength 4, AP 1, D3 damage. You can hazardous it, make it good strength 5, AP 2, D3 damage.
Okay.
It's all right. But the main thing with him, he has Feel No Pain 5+.
Yep.
He also gives his unit he's leading fight first.
All right, really big. Yeah.
Yeah,
awesome.
really big. 4 at Feel No Pain against psychic attacks on the unit.
Wow, yeah. Against certain armies, that's like.
It's the standard librarian rule because of the psychic hood.
Oh, okay, cool.
So
yeah.
all librarians have it.
Yeah, cool.
Transfixing Gaze. So basically, at the start of the fight phase, you can pick one enemy unit within engagement range of the psychic's unit. On a 1, you suffer D3 mortal wounds. On a 2 to 5, until the end of that phase, worsen the weapon skill characteristic of melee weapons on the enemy unit.
Ooh,
And if you get a 6, it's the weapon skill and attacks by 1.
Wow, okay. Now, I guess stacks of like minus to hit and things.
So this is the key thing to remember. You are minusing the weapon skill.
Yeah.
So that means their weapon skill goes down, and you can modify that then by 1. So you can modify that stat line by 2 effectively. So you can make -2 to hit with Mephiston if it goes off.
When we're stacking up some of these abilities for being quite tough as well, that's pretty cool.
It's nice.
What's the downside?
So the downside to Mephiston is the units he can lead.
Okay.
Right. So he's not really going with punchy units.
Right.
He can only go with assault intercessors, intercessors, and stern guard veterans. So 2 of those units are shooting units. You're not really wanting him. He's a combat character, so he's not going to go with them, right? So the only viable unit here is the assault intercessors.
Right.
Basically, all chainswords. You've got 1 thunder hammer in potentially. So they're only going to be AP 1. There's no way of boosting that AP. It's a bit one of those things where maybe it's good into hordes.
Yeah.
And they're foot slogging it.
Yeah.
Which is, you could put them in a drop pod. You could librarian dreadnought teleport.
Yeah, I mean, you could chuck. No, that wouldn't work. No, would that work with the librarian dreadnought? You could maybe pick that if he was in there.
Yeah.
And a unit of assault intercessors, pick them up and throw them in someone's backline.
Yeah. So you can pick them up, and that's what I was saying. So you can move them to somewhere on the board, maybe put them on an objective.
Yeah.
It does have that play, but again, it's just something that
maybe you haven't got the points to include that.
Yeah, it's not really getting the output from the fight first on the unit because the unit isn't doing damage to get any benefit from fight first.
I follow you. Yeah.
But it's Mephiston. He's cool. I would still put him in just because he's Mephiston, right?
Yeah.
Right, the last unit I want to talk about, mate. This is the Sanguinor.
The Sanguinor.
The Sanguinor, the angel, the beacon of Sanguinius himself.
He's like a bit of a wannabe Sanguinius, right?
He basically is Sanguinius in essence, right?
In essence.
In essence. So he's like a mystical being. So he's the herald of Sanguinius.
Herald of Sanguinius. And
So-
am I right in thinking this guy, like, when things are going wrong,
He just turns up. He's a savior of the chapter.
that's
So
pretty
whenever
cool.
the Blood Angels have ever been in the direst of situations, he turns up.
Nice.
Dante is the only one that's ever spoken to him.
Okay.
He doesn't speak to people. He's only spoken to Dante.
So no one else is deserving.
No, he's basically God. But anyway, so Sanguinor, right. Stat line, 2-up save, 7 wounds, 12-inch move, toughness 4. He has a sword, the Incarmine Broadsword, devastating wounds, 8 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP 3, damage 2.
Yeah.
He's a baller.
Yeah, that's
Baller number
cracking
4.
through some stuff. Yeah. That's
Now, here's the kicker.
right.
Fights first,
Great.
lone operative.
Awesome.
So he's got pretty much the 2 best rules in the game.
Yeah, I mean, let's just dissect those couple
Yep.
a little bit. The lone operative can't target outside 12 inches.
Yep, so he can't be targeted by ranged attacks unless they are within that 12.
Yep.
And fights first means he's always fighting first, unless you charge opponent that has fight first.
Great. And because he's lone operative, I presume he cannot be attached to a unit.
Yep. So he's not a leader.
Okay.
He's a leader in my eyes, but he's not a leader on a card. Basically, he has a few abilities. So the first one is Aura of Fervor. Fervor, sure.
Yeah.
And basically, Adeptus Astartes units within 6 can reroll Battle Shock and leadership checks.
Pretty cool.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Can come in clutch.
Yeah.
The other thing is Miraculous Savior.
Okay.
Now this is the best thing about him.
This is the one.
So you always start him in Deep Strike, right?
Right. Okay.
So once per battle, at the end of your opponent's charge phase, if this model is still in reserves, you can select one enemy unit that's made a charge move this phase, set this model up on the battlefield within engagement range of that enemy unit. So your opponent's just charged your unit?
Yeah.
Cool. Just going to stick him in.
Stick him in.
Anywhere.
Fight first.
And fight first. So then he just goes and fights.
So he's just going to slap with that sword.
Yeah. It's important to note, though, he doesn't count as charging.
Doesn't count.
So if you are running Sons of Sanguinius, he won't get his ability, his +1 strength and attack for that.
Still got to smack.
It's not really losing too much.
Yeah.
You're not going to get Lance either because you haven't charged. So you can't play that. You could play the strat for lethal hits, but not the Lance. But I think he's 160 points, so he is quite expensive.
Yeah.
But for what he does, he has a lot of tactical play. And again, in a situation where you don't want to be charged, him coming in and saving you in moments where, like, let's say a unit's charged your unit that you wanted to survive, you can chuck him in, potentially do a load of damage, and reduce the damage coming at you.
Yeah, I'm seeing lots of play here, just from a position, because we know that the fight phase, in terms of like the distance you can move and you've got to be in base to base, there's a lot more restricting.
Yep.
So let's just say, for example, we've got a unit here.
Yep.
Let's just say this is Sanguinius and you've got an enemy unit here.
Yep.
Charges over that way, gets a bunch of stuff in.
Yep.
And maybe has got something that's a little bit further back, like that. And then you go in here and you go like that.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you can only fight base to base.
Yep.
And depending on the distance between the two,
yep,
they're pretty much stuck, that they can't split very well.
The other thing you could do is if there's a character that needs to pile in, maybe.
Yep.
You can base to base the character.
Yep.
So the character can no longer pile in.
Yeah.
And you've now locked that character fighting you.
Love that. So this guy has got a vast amount of tactical play.
Exactly.
I'm sure maybe on some of the members' content we might look into some of the more specifics of that. That'd be cool.
I think there's a lot of tactical play with him. He's always been that tool. Even in 9th edition, he was that tool to just chuck in and just go, cool, now deal with that.
Yeah. Awesome.
So yeah, he's definitely worth it. If you want to include the Sanguinor, I definitely recommend it.
Brilliant. Okay.
Yeah. So the one thing I did want to talk about just before we move on is comparing the Gladius to Sons of Sanguinius.
Yeah.
So now we've looked at the units, we've looked at everything, right? I personally think the Gladius Task Force is where you go with the Blood Angels.
Okay. Yeah.
So granted, Sons of Sanguinius, the combat benefits are nice. However, it's situational.
Yeah.
You are trying to make yourself get the charges off.
Yeah.
But if your opponent charges you, you lose your detachment rule, right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Whereas the Gladius Task Force, it gives you an all-round tactical overlook on your army, right?
Cool.
So you've got a lot more strategic value in your units. It also gives you benefits from using shooting units as well.
Okay.
So it gives you an all-rounder in the army, right? And I think in 10th edition, you want to have a balanced list that can kind of deal. You can do tactical missions very easily.
Yeah.
And also work into some fixed if you need to. I think you still focus on the melee, but you get advanced and charge with Gladius.
Yes, nice.
You can literally fall back still, but you're not spending a CP for it.
Yeah, and you can shoot as well, am I thinking?
You can shoot as well, so that's the difference in it. You still get pretty much the same strats. So you get Armor Contempt, you get Fight on Death, you get you get Lance on the charge with Honor the Chapter, and an extra AP if you're in the Assault Doctrine.
Yeah.
Again, AP is really clutch in 10th.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think obviously you're not getting the consolidation and stuff like that, but the army works differently in Gladius to what it does in Sons of Sanguinius, because you're not trying to get charge benefits. You're literally working around how can I get the most out of the army. And
Okay.
I do think Gladius just overall has much more going for it.
Yeah.
The enhancements are better as well,
Yeah,
which
cool.
is another thing.
Mm.
But I just think advance and charge is so clutch.
Yeah, no, it really is, especially when you've got these jump packs kicking about.
Yeah.
Running around there's a whole other sort of video or whatever on how that might work together.
Exactly.
Maybe again that's something we might look at on members.
Exactly.
Let us know if that's something you want to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you've got tactical play, right?
This is the thing, right? And I think a lot of the Space Marine chapters are having this.
Yeah.
And I think it's something we'll probably see more of as 10th develops, because we'll start seeing new codexes come out with multiple detachments in.
Yeah.
So then you've got options. And I think just looking at it playing it, I've played them both now.
Yeah,
and
you did really well. You went to a GT, took them 4-1, I think.
So I went 4-1 with the Gladius.
Nice.
And then I went to another GT and I went 3-2 with Sons of Sanguinius. So I've had good success with the army, but I do think the Gladius just offers that bit more. Like in a couple of my games when I took Sons of Sanguinius, the clutch moments came from not being able to reach my opponent's units.
Okay. Yeah.
So being able to advance and charge actually just gives you that smack.
Yeah.
And just not losing too much hitting power.
Cool.
You're still getting the majority of the hitting power. Lance is still being used from the army.
Yeah.
+1 attacking strength is nice, but it's not winning games.
Yeah.
In my experience.
Yeah.
But I still think Sons of Sanguinius has play.
Yeah, and they are thematically awesome. So
yeah, exactly.
I think.
Yeah.
I like them. So yeah, I mean, by all means, guys, we have got that how to play Space Marines video as well.
Yeah.
We'll pop a link like somewhere like that.
Yeah, sure. We'll put it there.
Yeah. I think that's awesome. Let's just really quickly talk a little bit about whether you go sort of fixed and tactical.
Yeah, sure. So I think it works the same as most Space Marine armies. Tactical is probably a really easy way to go, because especially if you're going Gladius, it gives you the tactical flexibility, right?
Yes.
If you're going Sons of Sanguinius, maybe it depends. It's weird with fixed because it depends on the opponent matchup, right?
Yeah.
So assassinate and bring it down are great for Blood Angels because it works into what we want to do, which is kill.
You're bringing the fight to your opponent. They're not. If you're playing it right, they're not going to hide very well.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and that's where I think if you have the option to go fixed with assassinate and bring it down, this army works amazingly into that, because the damage output of Blood Angels is where you want to be excelling in, right?
Yeah.
But there is tactical play.
You got these guys? Yeah.
Inceptor's great. Librarian Dread is great for it. The speed and maneuverability of the army is almost unmatched.
Yeah.
So I think being able to, I said almost, guys. I know Eldar are a lot faster, but we being the angels of the Emperor, the Sons of Sanguinius, we have the speed, we have the strength, and I think tactical is definitely a really good way to go with these guys.
Brilliant. Awesome.
Yeah. Nice.
Well, I think that's everything. That's a wrap on all of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, guys, really hope you enjoyed that video. If you've got any other comments, if you've got any cool combinations that you have gotten really well with on this, let us know in the comments.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think
any interactions that maybe you think would work better, obviously let us know. I'm playing these guys. This is my army, my main army, so these are my babies. I'm trying to figure out the little things, but we have so many cool options. But let us know in the comments. And hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Thank you for listening to me waffle about my Blood Angels, my babies.
I'm just going to say it one more time.
What?
Sanguinius.
No!
Take it easy, guys. Thank you very much. We'll see you in the next video. Cheers.